What's up, guys? Welcome to Game Crunch. So this video, I'm sure you read the title and clicked it, something along the lines of how to fix Season of Discovery World PvP. I'm recording this and I haven't named the video yet, but it's going to be along the lines of something like that. And this video is just going to kind of go over how I believe that World PvP in general, not even just in SOD, but in general, is kind of not that fun, frustrating, kind of unfair, kind of broken, and maybe some ideas on how to fix it. So before I start, if it's your first time here, I do a lot of news videos, video game related news videos, and other video game content. Right now I'm playing a lot of World of Warcraft Season of Discovery, so this is the game I want to talk about. And this is just some random Warsong Gulch video where I kind of get my butt kicked against a pre-made, just playing while we kind of talk about this. So first thing, before we start, I just want to say the following is strictly my opinion. You may agree or disagree, that's okay. But please be respectful to others, as it's designed to open up the conversation and increase enjoyment for everyone in the game. Not just the rogue ganking Lobies and Westfall, because actual competitive games and modes are way beyond their skill set, but it's for everyone, the real life equivalent of bullying third graders. But anyway, I digress. I do enjoy and have had a lot of fun times doing World PvP over my extensive World of Warcraft playing. I've been playing since about 2006. But lately it just doesn't feel the same. It just feels mostly frustrating and like it's kind of designed just to grief each other, mostly at the end of the day. So first part here is how do I think that World PvP is broken? Well, the first thing is World PvP suffers from one major flaw, in my opinion, is it's frustrating and unfair to the dead player 90% or more often of the time, and its main current function really is just to kind of grief each other. So how is it fair or frustrating? Well, if you've played the game on any PvP server, you should already know the answer. When you die in PvP combat, World PvP combat, vastly more often than not, you were outnumbered or attacked when you were low health, or you're already fighting a mob. It's usually some sort of unfair advantage. And now begins your 5-minute auto run back to your corpse, only to return to either A, get jumped again, and then have to redo the 5-minute corpse run and not allowing you to really play the game, or B, the opposing player that attacked you when you were 20% health after fighting some mobs has now took off and you can't find him anywhere, so you cannot act any revenge. So this creates a frustrating experience for the dead player, as the death was no fault of their own a lot of times. This also affects group members, raids, teams, etc., who are now just waiting around for you to get to the dungeon or get to the quest, and now they've got to wait longer, so now they're just standing around, and then heaven forbid one of them gets ganked, and now you got to wait for them, so it just kills a lot of time. So I argue that the vast majority of players actually don't like World PvP and find it very frustrating. I believe this is evident by the fact that classic servers left to their own devices, without Blizzard enforcing faction balance, always end up completely one-sided, essentially turning it into a PvE server anyway. Frustrated players from opposing factions just leave. Nobody likes being constantly outnumbered and doing corpse runs. So this is what we've seen before SOD and before they forced faction balance. Most World PvP only occurs when one player has a significant advantage over another. Balanced World PvP combat, I find, is almost non-existent. Groups and raid teams already make efforts to layer change to their dominant faction's layer to avoid World PvP as it is. So I believe that Blizzard understands this is a problem. And Blizzard has taken some action. So what has Blizzard done and why it's not enough? So Blizzard has implemented the option for players to transfer off of PvP servers on Season of Discovery now. But as we can all agree, that doesn't seem to be a good solution. Most players want to play World of Warcraft with their friends. What good is a transfer if all your friends can't come or afford to transfer? There's a Band-Aid fix that's not really thought out. So what do we do? Well, I've been brainstorming some ideas on how we might be able to possibly fix, what possible fix might be implemented that could still honor the idea of world PvP, but create an experience that's not just frustrating and more fair for both players or all the players engaging in world PvP, even if it is against their will. So let's talk about them. So the proposed ideas, the one that's obviously been floating around a lot is allowing full guilds to transfer. This would allow entire guilds to transfer together, but this could also have its own issues and open floodgate for all kinds of imbalance problems. So you could have imbalance on the server that you're transferring to. You could leave imbalance on the server that you are leaving. And I also find that, at least in my experience, a lot of my guild mates, usually just a select few, want to stay on a PvP server, and they're fine with the experience of running back to their corpse all the time. It's exhilarating, I guess. So for the sake of those people, we don't want to force them to transfer off of a server that they don't want to be on either. So the next proposed idea, and in my opinion, this probably should have been a quality of life in Season of Discovery either way, but is just to have more graveyards and a faster ghost. The most frustrating part of dying in World PvP is the run back to your body. It's not fun. Like, how many of you guys, click auto run and just scroll your phone? Fun should be at the center of all aspects of a good game. A faster ghost with closer graveyards lets you get back to the action. Nothing is worse than dying in the middle of STV or top of Deadwind Pass just trying to get your rune, having to do a long journey back to your corpse, and then heaven forbid you get killed again. Countless times I've just turned the game off at that point. It's not fun. If it's dominated by the other faction and I literally cannot play the game, I will literally just turn the game off, which I don't think is Blizzard's intended design. They don't want me to just stop playing. So this simple fix negates the already inconvenienced corpse run and the unbalanced PvP death. It does have the side effect of making some PvE deaths more bearable, and dungeon runbacks and whatnot. But I do believe there should be some punishment to dying, but again, it shouldn't be a huge drag. So I don't think this is the best option. So I've kind of brainstormed what I think would possibly be the best option. So that would be basically an instant get-up option from World PvP combat. Now hear me out. There could be a lot of potential issues with this, but I've thought of as many of those issues as I could, and I'm going to address them and kind of go over more details on how I feel like this might work. So if you were killed by another player, the option to get right back up causes almost no inconvenience. You get killed, you just stand back up. Okay, cool. This also creates a bit of deterrence from the toxic player. We'll call them a toxic player. Behavior of killing a low HP player, as this would allow the dead player to then initiate a fair retaliation against the pro ganker player, who usually just runs away, or if it's a rogue, they just invis. But there's a lot of issues that could come up from this, so I'm going to go over a few of those issues. The first one is the ganker would now be at the disadvantage a lot of times. So let's say the ganker kills you, but you got a couple good hits in. They're now 60% health, and they blew a cooldown to kill you. Now you stand back up. Now you're likely going to kill them, and it's going to cause this back and forth chain reaction, which is going to also cause a whole other bunch of issues, which I will address. Opposing cities. Instantly be able to get back up in an opposing faction city could cause a lot of grief. That could end up in a lot of auctioneers and bankers killed. Could also be used for exploits and killing mobs, elites, having another player kill you so you can stand back up at full health and continue the fight. maybe getting into zones or areas that we're not really supposed to go into yet, that type of thing. Issue number 4 would be the honor farming exploitation, 2 players killing each other over and over, back and forth to farm HKs and honor. And the last one that I could think of was determining the cause of death. Did you die because of the hunter's serpent sting, or was it because of the elite mob that you pulled? This could allow faction cooperation simply by putting rank 1 debuffs on other players so they can stand right back up when they die. This could also allow players to save one another by debuffing you when you're going to die so you can just stand right back up. There could be more, but these are the key points that I've thought of. If you think of anything else, please comment below, let me know. But let's get on to the solution. So when you insta-res, you are given a debuff that lasts 30 seconds. So similar to the one that you already get in the Stranglethorn Veil event. Same thing. Very similar. So my idea was that you could not act for about 15 seconds, similar to the Stranglethorn one. So you can get up, you can run around, you can buff yourself, you can eat, drink, mount up, that type of thing. That way it gives you an option to sort of escape from the situation. Let's say there's 3 of the opposing faction there, and you know you don't stand a chance by yourself. So maybe you can mount up and get away from the situation and go play somewhere else, do another quest in the meantime. Or you can stand back up and try again. But if it was a 30-second debuff, you'd have 15 seconds where you cannot do really any combat at all. This would stop you from doing a multitude of things. But for the next 15 seconds, you can't act in PvP combat. You're also worth less honor points to that player that got the honorable kill on you. So diminishing returns, which are already kind of in the game, you already can't really farm each other for honor that way. So it's kind of already put in the game. That way you can't sit outside a graveyard and kill each other over and over again. Within opposing factions, cities or towns, death would just send you back to the graveyard regardless. It would basically work the same. So what would this do to resolve these issues? Well, I believe this resolves basically all issues presented. This would allow the ganker essentially to heal up and be ready for your retaliation. You can't just go and gank them and now you're at 50% health, and then they gank you and then they're at 50% health. And this also means that you couldn't really be spawn killed. You'd have a little bit of time to get out of dodge. It allows you to move and reposition and possibly continue questing for a brief moment without the threat of another gank. So you've at least got 15 seconds to get to another position, 15 seconds where you can't really be interrupted. So if you're trying to kill mobs, you could at least get one more before they decide to come over and get you again. So there's always that threat of still being outnumbered, but you would then at least have some sort of solace from the assault rather than just waiting 2 minutes before you can res after you finally get back to your body. Opposing cities would basically remain unchanged once you're in one of those zones. You get sent back to a graveyard just like normal. The fact that you can't act for about 15 or so seconds, many elite mobs, bosses, essentially at that point would either just go to the opposing faction or they would be reset, kind of like how they already do whenever you die. Honor farming would be highly ineffective. World PvP is already highly ineffective for honor farming, so that's not really an issue. So this leaves pretty much the only possibility and only issue that I can foresee at the moment is saving other players and exploiting PvP deaths. But you can already save people in the game. I've jumped in and saved the opposing player that was about to die from mobs before, and I've been saved by the opposing faction as well when I accidentally pulled too much. I've had a player come over and pull a mob off me or save me or root them or stun them and save me, and then you do the slash thanks and go about your day. There's some kind players out there. This leaves the possible ping-ponging of elite mobs to kill them, which seems highly unlikely because they'll just be killed in groups anyway, and it's difficult to coordinate on the fly without communication with the opposing faction. And it's not really any different than really just having a high-level friend come by and kill the elite for you anyway. So it's not like factions can instance together, so there's not going to be really much that you can do that I can foresee with that. So that's really it. That's my proposed solution. Basically, you just stand back up, and for essentially 30 seconds, you kind of resituate, get ready to go. If all the rogue players down below could just let me know how dumb I am and how much of a noob I am down below, and how I should just PvE transfer servers, that would be great. But in all seriousness, I'm interested in just opening up that conversation and contributing my solution to world PvP rather than just complaining about it. One of you may point out a fatal flaw in my thinking, and honestly, I hope you do. Or perhaps the video gets around and devs implement it, changing world PvP forever. Who knows? But before I go, please like and subscribe if you liked the video. I do a lot of content on a variety of video games and video game news, if that's your jam. And if you're a hater rogue, just hit the dislike. It's fine. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Have a good one.